Hello, Christopher here with the American Solidarity Party. I'm running for National Committee, and I just wanted to come and talk about the way that we in American society deal with drug addiction and incarceration. Right now, we are to a point in society where we've accepted the fact that drug addiction is actually an illness, and being that it's an illness, it should be treated as an illness, and the people should be treated as sick people. But instead, we continue to treat it as a crime, and not just any kind of crime, not a misdemeanor, but a felony. So here, an ill person is practicing their illness, and due to their illness, they are given a felony and they're incarcerated. And I just saw the boat right next to me is untying, but it looks like he's got it, he doesn't need any help. So sorry about the little interruption. But so here we have sick people, due to their disease, due to their illness, are being charged with high crimes and having their entire life, for the rest of their life, affected. You see, a felony follows you around. Now, they say you can get rid of a felony after 7 years and this and that or the other, but you know, you can't get a felony expunged unless you get a governor to expunge it for you, and that's a very difficult thing to happen. And so where does that leave us? That leaves us with these people who are drug addicted, who perhaps they're trying to get their life straight, and they go and they start looking for a job, and it's getting very, very hard for them to find a job, and they finally you know, decide, you know what, I'm not gonna mark felony in the last 7 years on my application. And then maybe that way they end up getting a good job, and then they get a background check, and bam, they were lying on their application, so they get fired. And I've known people that's happened to. That's really horrible that they've got to worry about that. Now, another thing it does is it makes it harder for people to get house loans, and it just pretty much, it holds people down in life for their whole life because they have an illness and they got caught with their drug of choice on them. Now, another thing is this: so they get arrested for drug possession, and they sometimes get lengthy prison sentences for that, or jail sentences for that. And in that system, there's a lot of people making a lot of money off of drug addiction. You know, especially like a lot of these jails are privately owned, and there's a lot of corruption there. You have judges giving very horrible long sentences to people. There's a big problem with that here in Louisiana, so much so that they made it to where they could no longer build jails in Louisiana because it was so corrupt, and there was so many jails here. There is so many jails here in Louisiana. So you have that going on, and then there's the statistic that, you know, they say $1 million invested into rehabilitation of drug addicts is worth $3 million of incarceration to drug addicts. That means that it is way, way more spendy to be locking these people up. And I would say that the cost is probably a lot more than that, because if they're going through rehabilitation rather than incarceration, and rather than having a felony stuck on their record, they could go out, they could start living a decent, good life, they could start making money, they could start paying taxes, they could start buying stuff. And so really, the cost is probably so much more through incarceration than it is through rehabilitation. So what should we do with this? You know, where do we go with this kind of information? Well, I think that drug possession should not be a felony. I think that people that are suffering from an illness should not go to jail, should not get a felony, and if they get sentenced to going to recovery meetings, maybe for a first offense, and then a rehab on a second, like a month-long rehab, a 60-day rehab on a third, a 90-day rehab on a fourth, as long as they're complying with the demands of the rehabilitation, I would say that they shouldn't be charged with a crime at all, as long as they finish their rehabilitation that they're sentenced to do, rather than having them incarcerated. And I just had Pat, one of my co-workers, on a different boat screaming at me. That's why I kind of turned my head real fast. But this is life in Fouchon, Fort Fouchon. But anyways, I think that we could do a much better job in helping people recover from drug addiction and keeping them out of the jail system. I think we have a duty to do this for these people. I really, really hope that we as a party can start standing more for such things that are in our immediate communities. I mean, how many of us are, in fact, related to or friends with people that have really fallen deeply into drug addiction? Now, another thing that I would say is, here, I'll let you see that boat that's taking off, that's making all that noise. Another thing that I would like to say is, for people that are selling drugs or prescribing drugs in a fashion that ought to be illegal. And when I say selling drugs, I don't mean someone that's pushing a couple of ounces of drugs so they can support their drug habit. I'm talking about people that are pushing pounds and pounds of drugs, or doctors that are writing prescriptions. I believe that those people should start to have much steeper sentences. They should definitely be charged with felonies, the doctors and the drug dealers. And I also think that we could probably get the pharmaceutical companies who are manufacturing and making so much money off of the illegal drug trade when it comes to prescription medication. And that's another big issue, because the pharmaceutical companies make a ton of money off of these prescriptions, and they will even pay doctors to prescribe certain medications. So I think that they need to start footing a big part of this bill of rehabilitation if we're able to get into it. So maybe we could get the cost of the rehabilitation down to a very low level. Of course, that'd be fighting cronyism. That would be really fighting a lot of systems there to try to get that in place. But I think it's a fight worth having, and I don't know. I would really like to know your ideas on this. What kind of things you think we could do to help to combat the addiction problem in our communities. I think there's a whole lot that we could do. Thank you for listening, and comment and critique me, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.